What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio and welcome to the Draftkings Picks and Prediction Show for UFC Vegas 78 with a 13-fight card headlined by Rafael Dos Anjos going against Vicente Luque. We are back in the Apex, and yeah, I think it's a really good card. I like this card a lot from a DraftKings perspective. I think there's a lot of plays that stick out. From a betting perspective, not so much. I mean, this is probably the first card of the year where we're here on a Wednesday and I literally have 0 bets on the card. I don't know if I'll even have 1 bet on the card. I mean, this card, man, from a betting perspective. But from a DraftKings perspective, a prize picks perspective, underdog perspective, I'm liking a lot from a fantasy perspective for this card. So curious to hear if you guys are feeling the same way. We'll kick it to you, Gordo. How you feeling about this card?
I'm feeling great, man. It is a nice card coming off that last one too. One that I was lucky enough to be there in person for. So a little bit of a come down now. I was pretty excited about the card last week. It was kind of forcing actions, and I'll be damned if I force some action on this card because, like you said, pretty tough one to play on the betting side of things. But one where I agree on DraftKings, we got a lot of targets to go out there and look at 13 fights, and ones where I'm excited to see if we line up on any of them this week.
Yeah, you know it's a tough betting card when I'm tempted to bet Juliana Miller and that
Killer Miller.
Yeah, so I probably should not have any bets on this card. Monk, how you feeling about the card this week?
Not too bad. Yeah, there are some very interesting lines for sure. Marcus McGhee, the most expensive guy in the card this week, but maybe for good reason. I agree with you guys both. Love this card for DraftKings. We have 13 fights to choose from. Some crazy high DraftKings upsides as well, especially in the main event. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Before we get started and get into everything, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio. We go live every Wednesday, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time to talk some DraftKings. I do want to shout out the chat. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns throughout the show, put them in the chat, and then we'll get to all the questions at the end. We always do. We got Only One in here. We got Dixon Cider. The name gets me every time nowadays. I'm making popcorn, chicken, and fries. There you go. That sounds like a heck of a dinner, Dixon.
Hi.
We got our guy Sam in the chat. We got Zach in the chat. And we have, that is about it. But yeah, appreciate you all hanging out. I say we get right into it, and we're going to start with the fight to target. Let's start with you, Gordo. What is your favorite fight to target this week for Vegas 78?
Oh, well, there's a bunch of them here. I'm trying to see which one you guys are going to pick up because really we could go out there and give 4, 5, 6 fights to target this week. One that I just have here right in front of me is Francis Marshall versus Isaac Dalgarian. That's a fight I'm looking to target this week, primarily due to that Dalgarian side. I mean, we saw that Marshall's could be tentative last time out, which is why it wasn't the top of my list, but Dalgarian's kind of the opposite. He goes out there, forces a pace early on. All his finishes coming in the very first round, which seems to be a trend amongst a few fighters this week, is that they are first round finish or bust type of fighters. And Dalgarian, although we don't know if we see that bust aspect part of things, he is a guy who's got all these finished in the first round and does come out shot out of a cannon. Wrestling background, some good striking as well. And I think that he has a lot of upside at an underdog price tag of 7.7K. Flip side of things, Marshall is that more proven quantity. We've seen a lot more from him this week, and I do think that he has more cardio upside and more ability to rely on him. But either way, the winner should score very well. It's juiced towards the under, and when you got fighters like Dalgarian who like to finish early on, it is a fight that you want to go out there and look to target. So a very dangerous fight.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I would go next, but my internet sucks, and Spectrum, you need to get some help. I mean, Spectrum, it's like $70 a month. If you're paying $70 a month for internet, you would think it would be good internet, but no, it's been terrible the last couple days. I might have to call and complain tomorrow. This is ridiculous. But my stuff finally loaded, and that's exactly what I had, Gordo. So I will give a different one because there is a lot that stick out. I'll take the main event. I mean, we got to talk about the main event. RDA, Vicente Luque at these price tags. So I feel like this fight plays out one of two ways, and I feel like both these ways score very well. RDA, 8,200. If he's winning this fight, he's taking down Vicente Luque. He's controlling him. He's racking up the takedowns, the control time. Probably wins a decision, probably goes 25 if RDA is winning this fight. And 8,200, he's going to put up a very, very big score. Even on the feet, Vicente Luque, very, very hittable, about a 50% strike and defense. So I feel like if an RDA wins this fight, he probably has one of the higher ceilings on the slate. On the flip side of Vicente Luque, 8K, I think he has the majority of the finishing equity here. He's going to be dangerous for every single second of this fight. So yeah, I like RDA for the wrestling upside, Luque for the finish upside. I think whoever does pull off this win in the main event is going to score very well, especially at these low price tags at 8,000, 8,200. So, but yeah, I had the Dalgarian fight as well. Gordo, I think it's a phenomenal fight to target. Monk, what is your favorite fight to target for this week?
Both great options. I will give you a somewhat of another obvious one here. Terrence McKinney, Mike Breeden, just because there are so many points flowing in both of these guys' fights. I mean, Terrence McKinney, for obvious reasons, almost 5 points a minute at distance, inside the distance, and overall. His opponents almost scoring 5 points a minute at distance. I mean, when he wins, 110 points a win. When Breeden loses, Breeden's giving up 113 points per loss. I mean, McKinney's almost giving up 100. Both these guys, tons of takedowns per 15 minutes, 45% accuracy for McKinney at 3.5 takedowns per 15 minutes. That's an extra, 15, 17 and a half points in a decision. Not like we're going to decision here, so I probably didn't need to mention that. But Breeden, 75% accuracy, 2.76 per minute. I mean, we know about the chin and the power of Terrence McKinney. Mike Breeden's also been chin checked as well. Long story short, that's a shitload of stats saying I think this fight scores well no matter who wins, and you're going to want to play both sides of this one. McKinney's a bit steep at 9,200, but there could be potential value with money Mike Breeden if he can get out of the first round. So I love this fight to target overall.
Yep, I had that one written down as well. So I think we gave three very good ones. We have one with Isaac Dalgarian, who's never seen a second round. We have one with Terrence McKinney, who's never been over 2.5 rounds, and then we have the main event, which I can think score well for the winner there. So three very, very good fights to target there, and three exciting fights as well. Let's move on to the fight to fade. I'm going to go with the least exciting fight on the card, and if this fight is exciting, for some reason, I will be, very, very shocked. But I'm going to fade the Martin Buday, Josh Parisian fight. It's a heavyweight fight that is like a pick'em to end inside the distance, which you don't typically see. But, I can see why. I feel like the majority of this fight is going to be Martin Buday just pushing Parisian against the cage. I feel like this fight could potentially have 10 minutes of just Buday pushing Parisian against the cage, just scoring absolutely nothing in a win here. I think this probably does go to decision unless Buday for some reason decides to wrestle, but he's shown just no interest to do that thus far in the UFC, attempting 0 takedowns. It's a terrible fight. It's 8,800 for Buday is a lot. And then as far as Parisian, I just don't feel like playing any Parisian at all. So pretty easy fade for me, Buday, Parisian. Gordo, what fight are you fading for this week?
Yeah, that's a pretty low-level fight, and there are a bunch of low-level fighters, but let's take one where I think both guys are decently high level. Let's take Hakeem Dawodu versus Cub Swanson, and I'm fading for more the opposite reasons. I think this is going to be a pretty good technical showdown, but one that I think is going to be primarily based on the feet. And although it's going to be one that's going to be entertaining, the co-main event's still one that, if it's going to be a 50-minute kickboxing affair, one that's expected of the distance, they're not necessarily going to go out there and outscore the people around them. And we have so many round one or bust type of fighters. I think we're going to have a very, very good high-scoring week this week, and with a guy like Hakeem Dawodu at 9K, if he's never scoring over 105 points, does he reach the optimal lineup without any grappling success, without much finish upside? I don't see so very often. So to me, I'd much rather play the people around him in the Amareems, McKinney's, Rountrees, and I'm not getting to Hakeem Dawodu as much. So leave it to me to fade the Canadian early on.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about that one in a second. Do we get to see the hype video again? I'm not really in the hype video type of mood, but remind me towards the end of the show, and we'll see what we can come up with there. By the way, did you guys see the Josh Parisian hype video on Twitter?
I was wondering what you were referencing. No, I haven't yet.
You haven't seen it? You got to after the show or during the show. Go to my Twitter.
As soon as I couldn't DM anyone, I was like, "Fucking social media daddy has grounded me from Twitter. Can't even use it anymore."
Oh, we got our guy Lou Betcha in the chat. What is up, Lou Betcha?
Lou Betcha.
Did that really happen? Oh my goodness. Okay.
Sounds like a sequel to Parasite, but I know that's not Japanese, but still.
Yeah.
I think it's because they were watching some Liang Na fight tape.
Ooh.
Liang Na is going to be coming very soon, guys. Get ready. She's JJ Aldrich is minus 1,000. JJ Aldrich is minus 1,000. Wild. From Anchorman, I don't think I've seen Anchorman.
Oh,
have you guys?
I have, but I don't remember that.
I don't. So I think we're at Monk though. Monk, which fight are you fading?
There are 3 women's fights here. Nobody likes to play women's fights except for me, and I'm not going to give you any of them. I think they all are in their own way good fights to target for DraftKings. I honestly don't think there are too many to bash here, and you guys had both the ones you listed, I should say, were on my list. So I'll just second you, Brady. It's Buday and Parisian. Buday 3-0, just super clinch against the cage, 76 points per win. And he's not like up and down. He is pretty consistent at 76 to 80 You know, I think 91 is the highest he put up. I think maybe he actually put up 50 something in one fight. So just pretty bad overall. I do think he beats Parisian more often than not, and I really don't think he scores well. I mean, Parisian has the better DraftKings upside somehow, and if you're saying that out loud, you know you have a problem right there. So just give me the fade for this one overall.
Sounds good to me, right there with you. All right, let's move on to the fighter to fade. I'm going to piggyback off of Gordo here. I'm fading Hakeem Dawodu. I actually think he has some sneaky finish upside, but I think it probably, if it comes at all, comes late in the fight. I don't see him going for any takedowns here, just when it makes sense. And we have just a stacked top range this week. I mean, up top, we have fighters like Terrence McKinney, who I really like, Amareem, who I really like, even Josh Fremd and Marcus McGhee. I think they all outscore Hakeem Dawodu, who typically is not, very high scoring at all. So yeah, pretty easy fade there at 9K. Just way too much for a guy like Hakeem Dawodu, who I've never really been high on to begin with. Monk, which fighter are you fading this week?
Yeah, I'm going to take the pretty obvious one, and 7,800 for AJ Dobson seems insane. I know he's only 0-2, so a pretty small sample size there, but he has gone 30 minutes in the UFC cage, barely scoring 2 minutes overall, less than 2 minutes. 2 points a minute overall, less than 2 points per minute at distance, and just over that inside the distance. Nothing really impressive. I mean, the most impressive thing is he is 3 for 3 on his takedown attempts so far in his 2 fights, 1.5 takedowns landed per 15 minutes. That's really it. No knockdowns, no submission attempts, controls only 12% of the grappling time, and this guy's average ownership has been 26% so far, and now we have to pay $150 over his average salary. Last stat I'll give you is last 5 strength of schedule is one of the worst on the card if it wasn't for Isaac Dolkarian and Fire Marshal Bill over there, less than 50. He's at a 57.6 for AJ Dobson. So I liked Nchukwi here, I think. And I just, even if I didn't like Nchukwi here, I just can't trust AJ Dobson, especially at a relatively high underdog price of 7,800.
Yep, and Dixon, I see your question in there. We will get to that towards the end. Gordo, which fighter are you fading this week?
Yeah, you're going to piggyback off me. I'll piggyback off you, and I'll take
okay.
Martin Buday as my fighter to fade. Yeah, actually off both you guys, because, Martin Buday's not the really right role out here. Double piggy, yeah, let's call it that. In his win so far, he scored 81, 56, 91. Again, with so many high ceilings on the slate, he's not necessarily someone you want to go out there and back at a high clip. And I get that Parisian isn't necessarily the greatest prospect in the world, despite what the hype video may lead you to believe. But I do think that Buday is someone who is very relatively limited at his ceiling there, and is someone who is going to really struggle to go out there and beat or outscore the Rountrees, the Blackshears, the Amareems, McKinneys of the world. And it's really hard for me to get to him at 8.8K. Fade for me there.
Yeah, super easy fade this week. All right, let's move on to our favorite dog. And this one's kind of a tricky one for me. There's not one I love. I'll kick it to you first, Gordo. Which is your favorite dog this week?
Well, if we're going to go double piggyback up there, let's go with the complete opposite. Let's just go against my friend. I'm going to talk about AJ Dobson. I like AJ Dobson this week, and it's never a good thing to go against someone like Monk, who is such a bright man below me there. But it is someone who I do see have some relatively high upside. And although he may not be my favorite dog, I kind of want to talk about him in this spot here, because we did have a lot of negativity on him, and I get it. Pretty tough look so far in the UFC, but I really do think he's getting a different stylistic matchup in front of him. I kind of went out there and looking at the matchup, and I threw out that Malkoun fight because I don't think Dobson's necessarily the type of guy who is going to be fought. Sorry, Nchukwi's not the type of guy to fight that same game plan as Malkoun. So instead of this, we have Dobson at an underdog price tag against a guy who's been knocked out in the last consecutive 2 fights, who has more grappling upside in this matchup, and is someone who I think has the physicality here to go out there and contend with Nchukwi. Yes, his numbers on paper aren't that well, but I do think this could be a decent buy low spot for him here, who does have the ability to go out there, find that knockout punch for 15 minutes, have some takedowns of his own right, and also look to go out there and beat a guy who I see as pretty one-dimensional striker. So more paths for Dobson. I don't mind him at 7.8K. And if we're going to go head-to-head here, maybe that's even better for the ownership type of thing, and maybe it's good to get some better contrarian play on a guy like Dobson.
So that was like a reverse piggy then?
Yes, reverse piggy, but it was a single pig, not a double pig.
Okay. Lots of
it works because you have to invert and then multiply.
Okay. Yeah. Too much math for me. For me, I don't know. There's a lot of dogs I like, but there's not really one I love. I could talk about Luque, but I already talked about the main event a little bit. I'm gonna go with Isaac Dalgarian, 7,700. This is kind of like a shot in the dark. There's a lot of unknowns about Isaac Dalgarian, but what I do know is this guy fights like an absolute madman. This guy has a 100% finish rate. All of those wins coming in the first round. This guy has very good wrestling, and once he gets on top, he is nasty with the ground and pound in the submissions. Does he go out there and start Francis Marshall? I don't think so. But, I mean, if Dalgarian wins this fight, I mean, I think he puts up a very, very high score with probably a first-round finish. So I'm attacking that first-round finish upside for Isaac Dalgarian at 7,700. I think he has a lot of upside here at an underdog price tag. Monk, who's your favorite underdog on this slate?
I'm going to go with somebody a little bit further down. I'm going to give you Chris Daukaus this week. Moving down also, in weight, going to light heavyweight. His stats, though, are ridiculous for DraftKings. Almost 5.5 points a minute in his UFC career, over 5 points a minute at distance, almost 8 points a minute inside the distance. His opponents are right around 3 or so just about average, maybe a little bit more than you would want to see. But he's scoring 120 points per win, and when he loses, 109. So this is another fight. I will take the time to say a huge fight to target for me is the Rountree and Daukaus fight because they both score incredibly well. And when Rountree loses over 5 losses, giving up 103 on average. So Chris Daukaus in his 4 UFC wins, 3 of those round 1 wins, tons of power index, big time chin dex. So this one could go either way, but I think at 7,300, there is some gigantic potential value on Chris Daukaus moving down a weight class. Let's see if he carries that power and if he can take care of Rountree here, who's kind of, you really can't pinpoint, what he's going to do from fight to fight. So, so I think Daukaus does have a chance here to score very, very well.
Yeah, Daukaus was another one I had circled, and then I also circled Polyana Viana, who has a 100% finish rate, just like Dalgarian.
Yep.
I'm picking both Dalgarian and Viana to lose, but they both have 100% finish rates and are both very dangerous, and that's kind of what I like targeting.
And Viana's 100% first round finish rate, I do believe. So in the UFC,
so is Dalgarian.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so crazy.
So you got to attack those early finish upside fighters there. But let's move on to the prize picks section here. And I'm going to look at you guys and see if you guys are ready, because sometimes you can tell just by looking at you guys, and you both are. Wow.
Do I look confident, ready to?
I got to see who has the confidence. And yeah, you both look confident, but we'll kick it to Monk. Monk, what do you like on prize picks this week?
Let's see. I think, I am going to go with the Amarim under 11 minutes of fight time. Her and Montserrat Ruiz. I mean, this one should be a freaking barn burner, man. Amarim's going to be looking for that sub that she just could not get pulled off against Sam Hughes in her UFC debut. She's definitely going to be looking for that. She has the skills to do it. Ruiz, the little 5-foot just firecracker that's throwing bombs and landing tons of takedowns, just launching herself into people. So this one, I think there's no way this one, if it sees 11 minutes, I'd be shocked. If it sees a third round, I'd be very, very surprised. So I think the under 11 minutes for Jackie Amarim is a pretty good bet here for prize picks.
Yeah, there's a lot sticking out this week to me on prize picks, and I had that one as well, the Amarim less than 11 minutes. It's tough for me to pick one, my favorite one. Let me go with, and this might have changed because I put these in on Monday, but I'm going to go with the Martin Buday less than 91.5 fantasy score. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I don't see him really finishing Parisian, and a decision win on prize picks, I believe, is like 20 points. I don't see a ton of output, a ton of significant strikes. I see 0 takedowns. So Martin Buday going out there and really scoring anywhere near, 91.5 fantasy points would just quite frankly shock me. So if I had to pick a favorite one, it's probably that one, but there's a lot sticking out this week on prize picks. Gordo, what's your favorite play this week?
Yeah, well, we get to throw in another pig here because I like the one that Monk did as well, and I had a couple things to say about that one in my breakdown on that Amarim Ruiz fight. And I was scared to be too mean to Ruiz here because she might put me in a scarf hold or something. I don't know. I think the best way to combat that is to tell her I'm going to follow her home, though, or something like that. I'm not sure. Tape is hard. Though she does, like you said, very short reach. Only one fighter has a smaller reach than her in the UFC. You guys know who that is?
I can't. It's like 50.
No
Is
guesses.
it Canadian? Is she Canadian?
Corey McKenna?
It's Demopoulos.
No.
Ooh, that's a good guess.
No.
I don't.
McCann?
No. Only one fighter, 60-inch reach.
I don't know. Who is
I don't
it?
know.
Tiny Tornado, Tisha Torres.
Tiny
Really?
Tornado.
Wow.
Is Ruiz the shortest fighter though at 5 feet even? 5 foot
That
even?
I do not know. I was looking at the reaches, man. I'm like 61-inch reach. That has to be shortest. And she's tied actually with Dumopoulos for second.
Oh, okay.
So Tisha Torres, though. There we go. Fun fact. Okay, well, if you stole that one, though, I'll go with another 11-minute fight time. Give me the under in the Bulgarian Marshall fight. It's -170 to end under 2.5 rounds. I think you're getting some good line value there. Like I said, Bulgarian killer to be killed in that first round. So far, he's just killed. We haven't seen him killed yet, but we don't know really how he is extended after round 1, so that there is some risk there. But I do think it's either Bulgarian early, Marshall late. Should be a fun one. I'm taking the under.
What was it set at?
11 minutes.
Okay, yeah, that's what I wrote down as well. So actually, I wrote down both your guys' plays on Monday. So maybe that's a sign for good things to come this week. So, yeah, I like both those. All right, let's move on then to our favorite GPP play, and I'll kick this one off. I like Jacqueline Amarim here, 9,100. I'm hoping she comes in somewhat low owned just because this 9K range is stacked. You got McKinney up there who's going to have some ownership. You got Fremd up there. You have, Rountree up there. I think Amarim has a lot of upside here and first round upside as well. Just like Bulgarian, just like Viana, like all of his wins come in all of her wins come in the very first round, and I actually have concerns if this fight does reach the second round. So I think this fight does hit the mat at some point in this first round. And when it does, I mean, Amarim's just going to be on another level in terms of the grappling. So I think Amarim, although a strawweight, has finish upside and first round finish upside. Like I saw her first round prop on Bet Online a couple days ago was already at +110. Like that's wild for a strawweight fight, but I think they're all over it, and I think this fight probably does end in the first round. So give me Amarim, 9,100. Gordo, who's your favorite GBP play this week?
Yeah, I mean, Terrence McKinney probably. I mean, usually I like to go out there and back him as an underdog, but truth be told, we have a guy here who is so dynamic in that first round, whose win condition is probably that first round, and people are aware of it, and he still is a massive favorite. 9.2K. He has all the upside in the world here. He is very dangerous early on. Great ability to go take people down, get to the back, and when he takes a step down in competition, he usually disposes them pretty early. He's also very dynamic on the feet, and I do think he has the opportunity to melt breed in the same way Hernandez did here. I do think at 9.2K, he is live for a first round finish, live for a first quick win bonus, and I do think he has a lot of opportunities to get it done. I have Amarim circled as my first one as well because I do think she's going to go a bit lower owned than McKinney here, but both of them first round upside, great targets to it here, and I both think they do win early on.
Yep, I'm going to have a ton of both. Monk, who's your favorite GBP play this week?
Let's go with my guy. I share a birthday with this man headlining this card, Rafael Dos Anjos. I don't know. I think he's the one fighter that share a birthday with. So me and him, of course, we're just kindred spirits. We have this connection. So I got to pick Rafael Dos Anjos. But in all seriousness, the guy's been scoring outrageously well, even, into his middle to later middle 30s. 113 against Barberena in 8 minutes. 113 points. Take out the 70 for the second round win. That's 60 points in 8 minutes. It's still ridiculous. Moicano, I know that was short notice, 154. And the fight before that won Paul Felder, 135. So the guy's been scoring absolutely phenomenally. His DraftKings points are incredible. 21 UFC wins, 57 of them over 100 points. Over 2 takedowns landed per 15 minutes. That's an extra 10 points right there in over 3 rounds. And this one is 25 minutes, as you know, which I love to play those fights. 61% optimal generally for the most part. Dos Anjos also controls 56% of all of the ground time that he's involved in. Luque is scary for sure, but it also, I don't know what to expect from Vicente Luque after what he's been through in the past year. I'm hoping for a full recovery and we see Luque 100%. He's only 31 years old, so it does worry me a bit if Luque is at that 100%, which I honestly am hoping for after his brain issues that he's been having. I just think that if Dos Anjos wins over 5 rounds, he's going to put up a gigantic score. And at 8,200, that's the cheapest favorite on the entire card. Give me that potential value, and I will have a ton of him in GPPs most likely this week.
Yep, I agree. I don't have a strong lean on who wins that fight, but I think if RDA wins, he probably puts up one of the biggest, if not the biggest score on the slate with that wrestling across 25 minutes. So, yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
right
we
there
could
with
see
you.
a repeat of. I mean, nobody wanted to see last week's main event, although of course I did enjoy it. Sandhagen scored 133 points. Love it or hate it, he put up a shitload of DraftKings points, and we could see that exact same thing here with the rinse and repeat takedowns from RDA.
Yep, that'll certainly be the path. All right, let's move on to our favorite cash play, Monk. We'll stick with you. Who are you liking for cash this week?
You know what? I'm seeing a lot of love for JP Bays in the chat, and I don't know if I should be scared or if, I think I'm just scared for one reason or another. So I'll give you somebody else other than his opponent, somebody that you touched on, Jacqueline Amarim. Very quickly, she did not look. Let me take that. Let me start over. Her stats did not look great coming out of that Sam Hughes fight, but she spent most of the time fishing for a sub in that first round, and I believe part of the second round as well. Not really, just getting the control time, not landing, too many strikes, just trying to get her arms under the chin, et cetera, et cetera. And then she kind of gassed out, and Sam Hughes took over and did enough to win, I believe, 2 rounds in that fight. So she's definitely looking for that sub, but her points, don't really look like she's going to do much. I think if she does win this fight here over Montserrat Ruiz, I think it could be very, very quick if things go her way. And I think we have to overlook those low points. So give me Jacqueline Amarim in cash. What is she? 91?
Yep.
What is she?
91.
91. So yeah, I think that's a great price this week for what could still be potential value at a 9K salary. So I love it for cash. Give me some Amarim, even though her nickname leaves a lot to be desired.
Oh,
what is it?
Jackie.
Oh, what? Really?
Yeah,
That's
Jackie.
That's horrible.
And she also puts an extra vowel in there that's not even in her actual name. So I don't know what's happening over in the nickname department there.
I'm about to lower my ownership on her after a nickname like that.
Yeah, for sure. My people need to get in touch with her people, let her know about my consulting rates here.
Yeah, that is horrible, Jacqueline. So for me, I'm gonna go with, and this is not really a cash play, but it's a cash play for me, and it's one Terrence McKinney. Obviously, there's a lot of risks. Like I'm saying, it's not the best cash play in the world, but I like McKinney a lot here. I think it's a get right spot for him. It's a massive step down in competition. I think he goes out there and destroys Mike Breeden and does it in less than 5 minutes. I think a 60-second bonus is very much in play with Terrence McKinney. I think he can bull rush this guy, do what Alexander Hernandez did and get him out of here in the first 60 seconds, or I think he can take him down easily. I mean, Natan Levy took this guy down 10 times, and McKinney should be able to go out there and get a sub easy as well. So I like McKinney quite a bit. Some risk, but I think McKinney has so much upside this week, and I will be playing him in cash games. Gordo, who do you like for cash this week?
Yeah, well, first of all, shout out to the unnamed nickname show. Great show. Best show on the planet. I love Monk. Check that out every week. But Monk, you didn't want to go out there and bash JP Bays. I thought as Dolitze's biggest fan, you'd love to do that.
I did. I mean, the Dolitze does pop into the video this week just for a second during the JP Bays fight, my game theory video. But yeah, I mean, JP Bays does it to himself. This dude's calling himself the Young Savage, having an 0-3 record in the UFC, just taking L after L after L. I'm rooting for him, but man, it's going to be tough. I'm trying to take it easy on him this week, Gordo. I don't want to add to it. All right, you don't kick a JP while he's down. All right.
You're right. Honestly, I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he had one of the smaller reaches in the UFC as well.
Yeah,
that guy. But
62
no.
maybe.
Yeah, we'll leave the slander to another time. Let's talk about Damon Blackshear, late notice replacement to the DraftKings slate, one we haven't talked about too much, and one where I was a bit surprised where he's coming in, a bit surprised at the opener. It seems like a lot of people are as well. I've seen a lot of love for Blackshear. I'm on that same train here. I told myself on my video before these lines came out, if it was anything better than minus 200, I'd bet it. And it's here. And at 8.6K, I do think he's someone you can go out here and rely in these cash game type of scenarios. Now, Johnson, got to make sure he gets to the cage first. Bad weight missed last time. Short notice here. We don't know what's going to happen or not. But Blackshear's a guy who's never been finished in all his losses. Very resilient fighter and a guy who seems to be in an upward trajectory towards the top. Very good grappler. A lot of opportunity to go out there and land takedowns. And Johnson was taken down 6 times in his last fight and 12 times against Ronnie Lawrence in Dana White Contender Series. I mean, when you're averaging being taken down 9 times in 2 fights on the UFC banner, Blackshear has some good grappling upside. He's going to be able to do that a lot of the time here. I also think although Johnson does have that length, Blackshear has the ability to neutralize it, has that durability to go all 3 rounds. I do think he is a very good fighter this week in terms of cash options, and I do think he has a very good Florida back.
Yep, I'll be talking about Johnson very, very shortly here. Let's move on to our favorite value play. Yep, value play. We'll start with you, Gordo. Who you liking for some value this week?
One man that comes to mind for value this week, and that's the guy who shares a birthday with Monk. That's RDA. I mean, you broke it down already pretty easily this week. This guy has just been on fire recently, despite the age. 113, 154, 150, 135 in his last 3 wins. Some amazing scores, and he has scored 99 points or higher in all 6 of his last wins, or sorry, all 5 of his last wins, including over 130 points in 3 of them. That's just incredible stuff to go out there and look at. He's a guy with great grappling upside here. And of course, it's always scary to go against a guy in Luque, but a brain bleed, like out of all injuries, that's not one you want to go out there and go back to fighting again too early. So it is a scary one. I understand the risk you're taking by fighting a guy in Luque, but Dos Anjos has a lot of upside here in his own right. And I do think that if he wins his fight at all, it's going to look like hindsight value. This guy's a great drafting scorer.
Yep, can't deny that. For my value play, I'm going to go with the guy you just touched on last time, Gordo, and that is going to be the Mom Blackshear 8,600. So yeah, when I saw the matchup was announced, so it looks like this week they don't have a 9,300 salary. To be honest, I thought Blackshear they'd put him in the 9,300 salary, and then I saw the line open up. I think it was either Monday night or Tuesday morning, and Blackshear was sitting at -300, and I was like, oh, that seems about right. I mean, this is a terrible matchup for Jose Johnson, who has, quite frankly, the worst takedown defense you'll ever see. I mean, this guy Johnson has like a 30% takedown defense, and he's been sub 3 times. So, I mean, perfect matchup for one Blackshear here. And then money poured in on Jose Johnson for some reason, and now we get Blackshear at 8,600. So, not sure if somebody knows something or what, but I'm not really seeing it. And I think Blackshear just has a ton of upside. I think Blackshear can go for takedowns here. I think Blackshear can get a sub. Johnson's coming in on short notice. And not only is it a stylistic nightmare matchup for Jose Johnson, but, taking the fight on, a couple days notice, I think Blackshear can put up a very big score here at 8,600. And like I said, I'd probably pay 9,300 for this guy this week. So give me some Blackshear. I think this is a fight that, it should be targeted, because with that said, Jose Johnson is super dangerous. Jose Johnson's dangerous wherever the fight goes. He has a lot of power for the Bantamweight division. He's huge for the division, and actually like Johnson quite a bit. I just don't really like this matchup for him. So give me Blackshear as my favorite value play here. Monk, who's your favorite value play for this week?
Yeah, I hadn't even seen that he had come in. I checked earlier this morning, and he still wasn't salaried. 8,600. That's interesting. So last week they do some fuckery with Sean Woodson and put him where they shouldn't. Oh, I guess they should have. He did make the optimal lineup. Yeah, so I guess maybe just let them do their thing. Shout out, yeah, the nickname show is going to be awesome tomorrow during the JP Bays. Just the chat going off right now. But yeah, I will give you Polyana Viana for a favorite value play. If she wins, I mean, all of her wins in the UFC so far, round 1 finishes, as was mentioned. Her average value per win is almost 14x. She's throwing up, 3 submissions per takedown landed, which you love to see. Whether she's getting them or not, you want to put your money on fighters that are trying and working towards that finish, especially in Draftkings. One of the higher ceilings on the card. I mean, 3 of her 4 wins over 100. Average bonus points per win for Polyana Viana, 96.2. So, yeah. I don't know how much of a chance I'm probably picking Lucindo, but I will definitely be playing both sides of this for DraftKings, especially Viana. Her upside is crazy high, whether you think she's going to win or not. So I think the potential value is there. We'll just see if she can land it.
Yep, sounds good. Sorry, I was making my lineup. I actually really like my lineup this week. I'm shooting for the moon in this one this week. Lots of first round upside for my lineup, and so that's ready. But we have one last segment here, and that is going to be the dart throw. And I'll kick us off. It's disgusting. It's nasty. It's dirty. But give me Juliana Miller, 7,900. I'm just not impressed with Luana Santos. Like Luana Santos, her whole game is that head and arm throw. And in her only loss, she was, doing the head and arm throw, and her opponent took her back in every single round. So if you're going to head and arm throw Juliana Miller, like the one thing she's very good at is she's a very good grappler. So I could see, doing the head and arm throw, Miller taking the back. I also saw, Luana Santos defend a takedown with a head and arm throw. Like, I'm not sure she has takedown defense at all. So, yeah, I feel like, people are very low on Miller after she looked atrocious in her last fight, but she was like minus 350 in her last fight. So give me Miller here. I don't think anybody's going to have her, and I think she should have some grappling upside in this one. Gordo, who is your dart there for this week?
Yeah, my dart throw is one we've made fun of a bit already, and that is JP Buys. And it's a dart throw for a reason, because defensively, the guy's chin's not good, his cardio doesn't look great, his physicality is not the best, but he does have some good offensive weapons that could go out there and land him a decent score. And you have to think to ourselves, it's like, okay, what is the path for JP Buys? It's very limited, but you would have to assume it's going to be with some grappling success, with taking down McGhee and going out there and looking to implement a solid high pace here. And in doing so, it's going to go out there and score very, very well. Very, very low salary, and for very good reason. And I'm not going to go out there and load up with JP Buys considering its risk, but he does have some good upside here if he were to win this fight. And it's a very interesting switch to your lineup construction.
Yep, I wrote him down as well. Monk, who is your dart though for this week?
Yeah, I like both of those. I will switch it up a bit. I will give you someone who I think could be low owned in the co-main event, and that is Cub Swanson against Hakeem Dawodu. What is Cub this week? How much is he? 7,200. Yes, we're expected to pay $9K for Hakeem Dawodu. That is pretty insane. But I like Cubs this week because what you have to avoid are submissions. And lately, out of his last two, getting KO'd. Meanwhile, Dawodu is a decision and split decision machine. He's never subbed anyone in his entire professional career. 7 KOs professionally, but that hasn't happened. And I'm only looking at the past 5 fights: split decision, unanimous decision against Trezano, Zubaira, and Julio Arce. So I think Cub can last. I think he can score well in a loss, like 35, 40 points at 7,200. That would be okay for cash. And if he actually does do enough to win the fight over Dawodu, that would be a pretty big dart throw in my opinion, because I think A, he'll be low owned, and B, he's already pretty low salaried. So give me Cub Swanson here on top of your guys' picks.
Yeah, I think another interesting dart throw is Chris Daukaus. I think could be a good dart throw, and then also Mike Breeden if he survives the first 5 minutes.
Huge upside for Breeden if he can survive. Huge.
Yeah. Daniel in the chat doesn't like my Miller pick. I mean, Luana Santos is horrible, though. I mean, they're both bad, but my goodness. So what we're going to do now is, Monk, are you all right?
What happened? Oh, yep. Can you see me?
Out. Yeah.
Sorry. I think I kicked my my cord here to my camera.
Okay.
So careful. I appreciate your concern.
Yeah, I was scared. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to go over our lineups from last week. We'll see how we did. We'll give our lineups for this week. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, type them in the chat. I saw some questions. We'll get to them after this. But Monk, do you have the results for last week?
I do, but I have the actual results from the card. But something's going on with the totals. I think. Well, let's just read the results here. First would have been you, Brady. Tatiana Suarez at 98, Sandhagen 133, biggest play of the week. Almabayev 105, Lopez at an even 90, Barcelos 37, and Rob Font 13 for a total of 479. Second place, shout out Uncle Weezy. Corey Sandhagen, Quarantillo at 87, Almabayev, Nchukwu at 1.6, Durden at 83, and Barcelos 37, totaling 448. Gordo third place, just under that was Sandhagen, Quarantillo, Almabayev, Jeremiah Wells winning until he wasn't, 43 points in that loss. Bazooka 27 and Barcelos 37 for a total of 434.53. And I scored 414 playing Sandhagen, Hadley, Bozer, Gavin Tucker, Yeesh, Dustin Jacoby, and Damon Jackson. So we were all within like 70 points of each other. Something weird is going on with my totals, so I don't have the exact totals, but we think that Gordo is still in the lead by approximately 7 points, I believe. 4 points,
7.
Something like that, 4 or 7 before that. So getting pretty close there for sure. Keeping it neck and neck with Brady and Gordo.
Hey, it's not going to be close after this week. I gotta go big or go home lineup here, and I'm ready to lose it all.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I have a go big or go home lineup as well.
Oh,
so we'll see.
Okay.
All right. So let's give our lineups for this week. Monk, you can go first here.
Yes, let me just find the tab that it's on. There we go. All right, which one am I going to play? This is probably going to change now that I know Blackshear is 8,600, but we'll go with Marcus McGhee, Jacqueline Amorim, Do we want to do this one? Yeah. Luana Santos, Rafael Dos Anjos, Isaac Dolgarian, and Mike Breeden. Talk about go big or go home. That's the one right there.
And we have two the same. Monk, Gordo, what do you got for this week?
Yeah, we're going go big or go home as well. And this will probably change as more research comes in, but let's do it, man. We're going to take Jacqueline Amarim up top 9.1, Terrence McKinney to go with the round one or bust fighters there. Damon Blackshear 8.6, Dos Santos 8.2, Luana Santos 8.3, and Stars and Scrubs lineup JP Buy 6.6K.
Yeah, so we had the same idea going with McKinney, Amarim, and Blackshear up top, but I went a little bit different. I went with the upside of Polyana Viana, the upside of Isaac Dolgarian, and a very unpopular play going against you both, Juliana the Killer Miller. Oh, it's so gross, but we'll see if it works out, and I probably won't change that as well. I didn't change my lineup last week, and it worked out pretty good, so I'm going to keep it there. All right, let's get to some questions. Let's see here. This one can go to Gordo. Dixon says, who has the highest ceiling on the card for a captain spot?
I mean, ceiling wise, you got a bunch of fighters who are coming in here and having round one finish upside, whether it be the Amarims up top, the McKinney's up top. My page isn't loading. I'm having a spectrum issue like Brady.
Yeah.
Hopefully my connection's okay as well. But we do have a lot of these fighters with round one upside, whether it be favorites or underdogs. And I got to think that the guy who I see with quick win bonus and grappling upside in that very first round is probably going to be Terrence McKinney. He is going to be popular as well in that captain spot, though. So I don't blame you for going other ways. I think the takedown upside of Blackshear and Dos Santos are also good options. So McKinney, Dos Santos, Blackshear, some very good options there.
There we go. This one could be for me. Is anybody on Francis Marshall? I'm picking Marshall to win, but there are so many unknowns in this fight. We don't know if Dolgarian has more than 3 minutes of cardio. So I think it's a great fight to target on DraftKings, though. This one can go to Monk. Do we have stats on Daukaus with a beard versus without a beard? Which I don't know what he's rocking this week. I'm not sure. I haven't seen.
When did he grow the beard? Does anybody know?
I haven't checked anything.
Well, I tell you what, if he did he used to? Which one is it? Which came first, beard or no beard?
I think he started without a beard. I'm not sure.
Well, then that's when he was doing all his winning. This boy's like, what?
This is something I should know. I should know this, but I don't.
I mean, hey, if you drop 3 in a row or something like close to 3 in a row, you got to be doing something a little different. So we changed weight classes. Maybe, we did something different with the beard. But yeah, changes must be made, Dixon.
Yeah. Where do you submit a question? In the chat. Moving on to the next question. This one's for Gordo. Nice UFC hat, Gordo. Flip it so we can see it from Nashville.
Yeah. No, this one ain't from Nashville. This is an old one, but I'll showcase it. He's also the same guy who said I have a face for radio, so I'm getting back and forth compliments here. What's going on? But
that's an all-time slam. That's always going to be good in any decade. Face for radio jokes, gotta love it. I mean, unless you
move on. It just hurts my feelings, man.
Sam, I can't bring that question up because I will get a DM from somebody again. Let's see. There we go. This one can go to Monk. Dixon says, I heard from boots on the ground in Vegas. Never mind. I probably should have read that before I brought it up. Did we get any questions?
That's perfect. That's perfect question for the Unnamed Nickname Show every Thursday at 9 p.m. Thanks, Dixon.
Okay. This is a question that I can bring up, Dixon. If my Wi-Fi would come on, Spectrum. There we go. This one can be for Monk. I've noticed that fantasy points get awarded for different things on DK versus FanDuel. Generally speaking, what earns you the most points for DK? Knockdowns, takedowns, control times, submission attempts? Monk, that's a great question for you.
Knockdowns get you the most of that list, 10 points overall, but they are rarer than takedowns, which get you half of that, but they happen more frequently. Submission attempts, I don't believe you get anything. And then control time, you get, I believe, 0.03 points for every second or something like that. But yeah, I personally go for, high knockdowns and then takedowns also the easiest way to really get those points going up there.
And then 90 points for first round finish, right? That's also something you got to go look out there and target.
Absolutely.
For sure.
25 points for a win in the first minute.
Yeah, so 115, just bonus if you get that first minute win.
Just
but
like
it balances out because you don't
yeah.
land as many strikes generally, and you don't maybe land a takedown or so. So, we've seen guys win in the first minute with like 116 and, just like one extra point, but still 115 bonus is crazy high.
Yeah. Last one, what percentage do you give JP Bays on winning? Not a high percentage, but a lot of people are on JP this week, it seems. What about you guys? You guys like JP's chances?
I'm more so on his upside rather than his win percentage. I don't think he wins all too often. I just think that when he does, it does score very well, and that's why I'm going to have some ownership of him. With that being said, though, I still give him probably a sub 20% chance here just because it's so hard to rely on his lack of physicality and durability.
Yeah, speaking of sub, that's his pretty clear path to victory, and if he doesn't catch it, I don't see how Marcus McGhee won't get a finish of his own.
There's the economy.
Heck yeah. Who DM'd you, Brady? I'll bust their kneecaps. Trust me, you don't want to mess with this guy, the guy that DM'd me. Trust me, he's a terrifying guy, and he may or may not be from Georgia as well. I don't know.
The devil went,
Yeah, I don't know if Bays wins, but McGhee over minus 300. Yeah, and the McGhee line's still like getting smashed. Like people's, they're parlaying up McGhee. What is McGhee right now?
Do you guys remember the
400?
Do you guys remember the good days when JP Baez was minus 110 against Cody Durden?
Yeah, I bet the under in that one. That was nice, but yeah, that's wild. I mean, if they ran that back, what would the line be now? Something crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we got it, guys. I think that's enough fun for one day. Quick picks, and then we'll give our outros. Gordo, what are your quick picks for this week? I know we don't have Weezy here, but try to give the pick, the round, and the method.
Oh, we're going to go with some violence then here. Let's go RDA by decision. Actually, the first two are not violence. RDA by decision, Hakeem Dawodu, the mean Hakeem by decision as well. Let's go Khalil Rountree by round 1 KO. Let's go Iasmin Lucindo, control time decision. AJ Dobson, round 1 KO. Sorry, Monk. Let's go Josh Fremd. Let's say round 3 positional TKO. Let's go Marcus McGhee, round 2 KO. Terrence McKinney, round 1 sub. Francis Marshall, round 2 sub. Martin Buday, decision. Jacqueline Emery, round 1 sub. Damone Blackshear, round 2 submission. And coin flip. Let's go Luana Santos, decision.
So right off the bat, I will get I'll do Blackshear first round sub. Luque KO 3, Dawodu KO 2, Rountree KO 1, Lucindo decision, Nchukwi decision, Fremd sub 2, McGhee KO 1, McKinney KO 1, Marshall sub 2, Buday decision, Amarim sub 1, and Miller decision. Monk, what are your quick picks for this week?
Damn, real quick, we love McGhee because JP Bays gives up 125 fucking points when he loses every single time. That's why. Give me, I guess, Juliana Miller by decision. We're going to go Damone Blackshear first round submission. We'll say, why not? Montserrat Ruiz by decision over Amarim. Let's go. Let's see. Martin Buday decision. Francis Marshall. Actually, we're going to go Dolgarian. Second round. We'll say KO. We'll go Mike Breeden, second round KO of Terrence McKinney. We'll go McGhee. We'll say first round KO over Bays. We'll go Josh Fremd, finishing Jamie Pickett, third round sub. How about we'll go Nchukwi, third round finish. Actually, we'll go decision over Dobson. Lucindo finishing Polyana Viana. We'll say third round TKO. Chris Daukaus finishing Rountree, round 1 KO TKO. Let's get it done. Cub Swanson pulling a Robbie Lawler impression, finishing Hakeem Dawodu, first round KO. Let's get it done. Rafael Dos Anjos, round 5 decision, scores a mazillion points, and we ride off into the sunset on the optimal lineup.
And there you had it. We did it. Let's kick it around real quick. Gordo, where can they find you, and where can they find your content for this week?
Well, my content was out earlier today on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. Full card breakdown, DraftKings, and betting is out there live. I also do some work with Daily Fan MMA, so I just finished up on my write-up. So we're doing a podcast tomorrow night. That'll be live as well. And then next week, we're doing Dana White Contender Series every Monday night, 11 p.m. Eastern, alternating between me and Liam's channel. But that's all I got for the first bit of next week. Next week, I got some final exams, so I actually won't even be doing this show next week. So I'll be leaving these boys out to be stranded there, but I'll be sure to give my input there. And all content for me next week won't won't be until late Friday, early Saturday prior to the fights. But other than that, guys, wish everyone the best of luck this weekend. Check out my work on Twitter at GamblesGordo, on YouTube, Plays of Fate Sports. Good luck.
Okay, good luck, everybody. Monk, where can they find you, and where can they find that beautiful nickname show?
Nickname show Thursdays 9 p.m. Central on the Monk Maddox channel. Game Theory is out. I put it out at 11 a.m. Today, so you can check that out for a some DraftKings focused stats before you start constructing those lineups. So check all that out. But big shout out to our very own Uncle Weezy and his loved ones going through a tough week, losing one of his best friends, Bootsy. Shout out to Bootsy. Everybody here knows Bootsy, has heard Bootsy almost as much as they've heard our voices. So huge shout out to Uncle Weezy and his family this week. Reach out to him, give him a big what's up, and hopefully we see him back next week, bigger and better than ever.
Heck yeah, shout out to Uncle Weezy. Bootsy will definitely be missed. But yeah, thank you all for hanging out. I have all my content out already. I'll be going live Friday for some final thoughts, and then Saturday for some best bet. Other than that, leave a like on your way out, subscribe to the channel, and best of luck for UFC Vegas 78. Next week, we have a banger pay-per-view, UFC 292. We have 2 title fights. Sterling O'Malley, phenomenal fight. We get to see Zhang Wei Li destroy Amanda Lamish, which should be fun as well. So, yeah, great card next week. This week's fine. But, yeah, enjoy it, guys. Best of luck. Talk to you soon. See you.